of those false narratives. Yes, he wants the opportunity to start. He's not hell-bent on starting. He will take a backup role. That has been reported. He will take a backup role.
All right, well, that's new news to me. If that's true, then
that is true, because that's been listed in a number of articles that I've already read since this news broke. He is not hell-bent on, I want a top-tier team to sign me as their starting quarterback. He knows that's not going to happen. He's looking for a team to give him a shot to at least play. And if you look at the teams that lost quarterbacks this season for any number of time, he could have fit in nicely with those teams and those systems that they ran. Not taking anything away from Gardner Minshew, he could have played better than Minshew. He definitely could have played better than Brian Hoyer. The only backup I would say that he probably would not have played better than is Teddy Bridgewater. But as far as all the other backups who had to step in, look at the New York Jets situation when their quarterback went down and the kerfluffle of crap they've had to deal with from second and third string quarterbacks, guys who they were just picking up out of nowhere to play. Kaepernick could have definitely played better than them. Win games, debatable, but he definitely would have put up better numbers than those guys.
I'm going to run through all the teams in the order of the schedule and then the bye week teams. And we're going to find a place for Colin Kaepernick. Steelers, Browns. He's not on either of those teams. Falcons, Panthers. He's not on either of those teams.
Not true. He could probably be on the Falcons because of Ryan's contract. He could be out soon.
And they have Matt Schaub, and Matt Schaub is awful.
Matt Schaub is awful and old, but he knows the system, and he's more
it's not a competition.
As James has said, usually you want your backup quarterback to be similar to your starting quarterback.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen in this league anyway.
Yeah, I know. But in any case, I wouldn't put Colin Kaepernick on the Atlanta Falcons. I'll just leave it at that. Now, this next game, Bills Dolphins, Colin Kaepernick should be on the Miami Dolphins. Quite honestly, of all of the teams that we're going to mention, the Miami Dolphins is the place for Colin Kaepernick. The only reason why he was not on the Miami Dolphins is because the Miami Dolphins were supposedly tanking. Now that they've won 2 games, Colin Kaepernick should be a Miami Dolphin.
I'm not arguing that.
And I'll leave it at that. I mean, there are other teams that, he could back up Dak Prescott in Dallas. I think that would be a good fit for him if he's willing to accept a backup role. Clearly, Denver needs a quarterback.
Absolutely.
There's no reason why he couldn't be in Denver. You mentioned the Colts. He could back up Jacoby Brissett for sure.
Absolutely.
The Buccaneers, if the Buccaneers weren't, Bruce Arians is so in on Jameis Winston. It's almost as if Jameis Winston is Bruce Arians' son. It's crazy how much Bruce Arians has been defending Jameis Winston. But Tampa Bay would be a place. You mentioned the Jets. I don't necessarily agree with you on the Jets, just because of Sam Darnold. You don't want to have. Sam Darnold,
but he was out, though. I'm talking about for those games he was out when they had the second and third. Luke Falk was playing quarterback. Come on, Pod.
I agree. Yes, to that point, yes, I agree. But to the other extent is that Sam Darnold wasn't going to be out for that long a period of time. And you don't want to have a situation like Kyle Allen or Gardner Minshew where now you have a quarterback controversy. Like, is it going to be Sam Darnold or is it going to be Colin Kaepernick? You don't want to have that kind of battle going on. And while Kaepernick might be saying now he's willing to accept a backup role, he's willing to accept a backup role with an opportunity to become the starter. Sam Darnold leaves for any period of time and comes back. He comes back as the starter. No questions asked. The Redskins would have been a place, but Dwayne Haskins now named the starter for the rest of the year.
Yeah, you're working him out for next year.
The Redskins aren't going to be a place for Colin Kaepernick necessarily. Can he be the backup for Houston or Baltimore? I think those are 2 very good places for him to be a backup. Don,
Baltimore
what do you think?
Already has Griffin.
Yeah, with RG3 there, no, I don't see a place for him in Baltimore. They have Trace McSorley, who was a 6th round pick. Again, he's never going to see the field. Houston, I think they've got somebody bad Is it McCarron? They've got a backup quarterback who doesn't exactly instill confidence. So yeah, I would say Houston over Baltimore.
The Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray. Again, you're in a situation where Kyler Murray comes back. It's Kyler Murray's job.
And that's fine, but if Kyler Murray goes down, who's the backup in Arizona? And can he run that offense the same way?
Yeah, it's probably not someone like Kyler Murray.
Exactly.
The Cincinnati Bengals seem clear. They're moving on from Andy Dalton. That would be another place for Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
But if I'm Colin Kaepernick, I do not want to go to Cincinnati.
That is true.
Because I don't believe you're going to find any modicum of success. Whereas the Dolphins have been tanking, I still believe that they have a plan in place to improve their team. They have some sort of future plan in place, is essentially what I'm saying about with the Dolphins. Why I think Colin makes perfect sense for Miami. I don't necessarily believe in the future plan of the Cincinnati Bengals.
No.
Back up in Oakland behind Derek Carr.
Yeah, sure. They have Mike Glennon. So yes, absolutely.
I mean, I've said I wouldn't mind having Colin Kaepernick as the backup to Brady in New England. I just don't think that's going to happen. So, I mean, that's just a pipe dream. Carson Wentz is backup.
Wait, before you move to the NFC, what about the Chargers? Because we all know about Phillip Rivers' issues with traveling and wanting to stay in San Diego.
Oh, well, sure. But I was going game by game. That's why I went Bengals, Raiders. Yeah. Now I'm on Patriots, Eagles. And I wouldn't mind having him in New England, but it's not going to happen. So there's not even a point in discussing it.
Back up to Carson Wentz, sure. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Because
who do they have there? Is it still the beloved Nate Sudfeld? Is that still their backup?
No, Sudfeld's injured. It's McCown or McNown. One of those something guys that shouldn't be on the team.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, Josh
McCown's not great, as we know, but I wouldn't take Kaepernick over him at this point.
I would. I see that he would play.
Chicago would be interesting.
Yes, they would.
But again,
Stephen A. Smith went on a nice rant today about that.
They're married to Trubisky, though. I mean, they're all in on Trubisky. As much as Arians is in on Jameis Winston, the Chicago Bears front office is all in on Mitch Trubisky. It would be interesting, though.
I put him there just for competition's sake.
Perhaps. The Los Angeles Rams. Now, that would be interesting. That would definitely be an interesting one.
Back up to Goff or just competing for the job, considering the way Goff has played this year.
Well, that's sort of where I was heading. Goff was everyone's darling. I don't know if McVay is. I haven't heard as much about the Rams getting behind Goff as much as those other teams that I've mentioned. I'll leave it like that.
Financially, they're behind him.
They're locked in, though.
Giant contract. Yeah.
Kansas City backing up Mahomes.
Absolutely. What Andy Reid does with quarterbacks with any type of mobile talent. I mean, he has a history of that.
The LA Chargers, I think, would make sense as a backup. But again, you're looking at a situation where that's Phillip Rivers' team.
Yeah. I'd also add this. If things become strained between Rivers and the Chargers and you need someone to start while you're waiting for the next crop of quarterbacks to come out, Kaepernick can be that guy. Because, I mean, we talk about the Chargers every year in the offseason, the way they acquire talent, draft players, that they're one of the more talented teams in the league despite their record. At this point, and this is just me personal, just looking at the games they played, Phillip Rivers at times look like he's holding them back.
I would agree. It's not going to happen in Green Bay. It's probably not going to happen in the New York Giants. Backing up Russell Wilson would be a good place for him, understanding he's backing up Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, yes.
Yeah, especially because their backup is Geno Smith. Yeah, no thanks.
Tennessee is a very interesting place.
Indeed. He can be the starter in Tennessee.
I think so. I think we found a second team for Colin Kaepernick. So we're looking at Miami and Tennessee. I don't think he ends up in either of those places. I honestly think that this is a complete dog and pony show. There's nothing to see here. He's not getting signed. He's not playing in the NFL. It's just simply not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen this year, and I don't think it's happening next year.
I think it happens next year. I don't think anyone picks him up this season to be the backup for any team, unless it's a team that has concerns about their quarterback down the stretch and staying healthy, and they have a legitimate shot of making the playoffs. That's the only way I see him signed this season. Just to be signed for the sake of signing a guy just to have a better backup for this year doesn't make sense, unless they're bringing him in to learn the offense because he's going to compete for the job next year. So, yeah, if Tennessee were to sign him this year, that's what I see happening. He's competing for the job next year, and they just jettison Mariota and Tannehill.
See, if I'm Tennessee, I keep Mariota and get rid of Tannehill, and I've got Mariota and Kaepernick battling it out for the starting job. Now, I know that that's probably not going to be cost effective because Mariota's contract is done after this season, I believe. So they would have to re-sign Mariota, and there's no way Mariota's agents are going to allow him to sign for anything less than starting quarterback money. So it's a tough one for Tennessee from a financial standpoint because you would really want Mariota and Kaepernick. You don't want Mariota and Tannehill. And I think if you did bring in if you bring in Kaepernick, it's definitely a sign that you're moving on from Mariota.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. That was a wonderful conversation, gentlemen. I'm glad we had it. But
last thing on this. So this is very telling, and this is what the NFL put out. They said the workout had to be on Saturday. When the league was asked whether it could be the following Saturday by making it a Saturday that the 32 teams had only had 3 days notice about, and whether to attend or not, the NFL said no and didn't provide a reason. So, again, this is crazy on both sides, both the owners and the league, because the owners and front office personnel could have did this themselves, and the league didn't have to choose a day in which half your teams are traveling and can't send the proper personnel people to evaluate this workout.
I mean, it's a pointless exercise. Like, if this is being done for PR for who?
Right.
Like, whom have you lost? Ratings are up. Who have you lost that you need to bring back into the fold to be watching the NFL? I don't understand why they're putting on the dog and pony show. From that aspect, it doesn't make any sense. I know why Colin Kaepernick wants to do this. It makes all the sense in the world for Colin Kaepernick. It made zero sense for the NFL. It makes them look even more stupid than they already have looked. And we know there's not going to be a single GM or a single head coach at this workout. There will be scouts. We do know that they've already said that a tape of the performance will be sent to every team. So there's no reason to even send a representative to see it in person. It just, none of it makes any sense to me whatsoever. The only thing, as you mentioned, James, that comes out is it appears that it is quite obvious that the settlement that Colin Kaepernick received was because he was in fact blacklisted. And that just goes to the evidence that every team, or there were some teams that asked if they could work him out and were asking permission to work him out. You don't ask permission to work out any other player, as you mentioned.
No.
So just based on that evidence, it does appear the settlement that he won was due to the fact that the team did in fact blacklist Colin Kaepernick from playing in the game. It's a shame that it happened. Hopefully everyone has learned from this experience. I highly doubt they have, though. And
Just to put a bow on this, the teams that are sending some sort of representation to this